we're talking about Re-Animator. I love this movie.
This movie's pretty good. I wouldn't say I absolutely love it like this guy. We'll talk about that during the ratings time, though.
It starts off with Herbert West being expelled. He's expelled.
He's expelled.
He's expelled from a Switzerland university for reanimating his professor, Dr. Hans Gruber. But after he comes to America to escape the law, he gets to, where are they, in Massachusetts? I think they're in Massachusetts. When we get to the university and Herbert meets Dan, and they kind of form a friendship, because Herbert ends up renting a room from Dan and his girlfriend. Well, his girlfriend doesn't really live there. She just comes, she's there quite a bit. Her father, the girlfriend's father, is the dean of the medical school, Dean Halsey. And he works with a professor, and the professor's name is Dr. Hill. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dr. Hill. And he has some theories on the brain and brain death. And upon first meeting him, Herbert just spits in the dude's face.
Your theory on the location of the will in the brain is interesting.
Yeah.
every time he talks about it being impossible to break the brain death barrier, the 6-minute barrier.
6 to 12 minutes.
6 to 12 minute barrier. Herbert West decides that a pencil, wooden pencil, is the best utensil to write in the class, and he holds it ready to break the entire time, just waiting for Dr. Hill.
The first one he kind of pulls out and he breaks, and then the second one he pulls out and he holds it just listening,
just waiting. And then they have that wonderful line. Dr. Hill has that wonderful line at the end of it.
Mr. West, I suggest you get yourself a pen.
After this interaction, this is when Herbert goes and proposes to Dan, hey, I'll pay you rent, you let me live here. And Dan's been looking for somebody to rent out this room. So a couple days into the stay, Herbert kills the cat.
Funny that you mentioned the cat. Little fun fact, the cat in this movie, the dead cat that they used for this, was actually a real dead cat. It was no prop. It was a real dead cat. So that's pretty friggin' weird if you ask me.
I did not know that. So anyway.
I want to know who made the decision, honestly. Who made that decision was like, no props, no CGI. We're getting a real dead cat. I found one on the way in today.
Let's cut the cost, brother. Let's cut the cost. Except for, did you know in John Wick, there's actually a $5,000 shot of CGI dog poop? That's a true thing, man.
They did that?
Yeah. The cat is dead. And one night, because Dan and his girlfriend Megan, they find the cat. And Megan immediately suspects something's up, but, Herbert sweet talks Dan, and the cat got into the garbage and a jar fell on its head. It's suffocated. What did you want me to do, Dan? Write a note?
And what would a note say, Dan? Cat dead, details later?
Dan is awoken in the middle of the night by this horrific, animalistic screaming coming from somewhere in the house. And he gets a baseball bat, and he goes and he searches for it, comes upon the basement door, and falls down the stairs.
Herbert's laboratory.
Herbert's laboratory is in the basement. Like, he built this shit without anybody noticing over the course of a few hours, I guess.
I mean, it wasn't nothing, no crazy building. It's not like he built a building. I mean, all he did was set up equipment that he stole from the school.
Cat's back to life. Dan gets downstairs. Cat's on Herbert's back. He smacks the cat off, and they kill the cat.
They have this whole scene, though. They have this whole cat fight scene that's reminiscent of the Scary Movie
cat chase sequence.
I think maybe it inspired the Scary Movie 2 cat fight scene. Maybe. But I feel like Rocky inspired that a little more than this movie.
Rocky is definitely more of an institution, I feel like.
What the hell are you talking about?
The movie.
It's Cat's dead.
Cat's not dead.
Cat's not dead.
Cat's dead.
Cat's dead. Cat's not dead. I remember when he brought it back.
Yeah, but he never kills it. Oh, off screen.
He must have killed it off screen. It's not like he left it there going.
Dan just goes to the dean of the medical school and he's like, Sir, father of my girlfriend, I know you don't like this Herbert West guy. I know you don't like him, but dude, he's not like totally insane. I've seen it. I've seen it. He has brought Cat back to life. It sounds insane.
Listen, boyfriend of my beloved daughter. I know that you're trying to work on reanimating the dead, but I am not sold on this idea. I am not sold one bit.
Then they go to the morgue, and Herbert's
No.
Dan sneaks Herbert.
Dan sneaks Herbert in, disguised as a dead body that is taken into the morgue, and for some reason the security guard stationed outside the morgue decides that he wants to take a look at the body, which is something he never does.
You got my lunch under there?
Yeah, he's like, you got my lunch under there? And he's like, yeah, what is it, the meatball sandwich?
No, he's like, a meatball hit by a semi.
Oh yeah, meatball hit by a semi, and he's like, oh, I'm not looking at that dead body.
Lost my appetite.
Lost my...
I'm gonna go whack off in the bathroom. And they go to find the best body, the most pure body without any damage.
The body that they decide on is a John Doe with heart failure.
Who's like the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they pump him up with 35 total cc's. Initially it was 15, they gave him 20 more. And yeah, like a ridiculous amount.
Gets up and
And at this point, Dean Halsey comes in because they told the hospital staff, don't let Dan around the goddamn hospital. Fools! Fools! And Dean Halsey comes down and he's like, Dan, are you in the morgue? Are you in the morgue with West? Yeah? Dave busts down the door and pretty much kills Halsey, bites off some fingers, slams him into the wall a couple times. Halsey's dead. They bring him back to life with the reagent. Tiger, please.
Halsey's dead. Halsey's not dead.
Dr. Hill tells Megan, Dean Halsey's daughter, that he would like to perform exploratory surgery.
And by exploratory surgery, what he means is give him a friggin' lobotomy.
But after the lobotomy is performed, Dr. Hill comes to Herbert's laboratory in the basement of Dan's home and pretty much sneaks up on Wes there, tells him, you're going to do what I want to do because I know everything about what you've done and I want to essentially be famous. He's a plagiarizer. He's a plagiarist. Whenever he's examining the formula on some dead tissue in a microscope, Wes sneaks up behind him, bashes him in the head with a shovel.
While Dr. Hill's on the ground, he takes the front end of the shovel, and what he goes, laid to rest.
No.
And so, yeah, that's...
Plagiarist.
Plagiarist.
After this, Wes decides to reanimate the body and the head separately, and the head can somehow still control the body, so the body gets up while West is examining Dr. Hill's reanimated head.
The headless body, he throws him like this.
When everybody arrives at the university in pursuit of Hill, they discover that he's kidnapped Megan, and they're going to rescue her. And when they get there, she's tied up to a table naked, and Dr. Hill pretty much sexually abuses her. He definitely sexually abuses her. It's rape.
I gotta say the way that
we won't show any of it.
I can't show you, but I can tell you the way he does it. He has.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. It's this headless body picking up the head, Dr. Hill, and he goes down.
No, please.
Goes down Megan's body, and he says some sweet nothings to her, and begins to, like he's gonna start,
So they show up just in the nick of time right before he gets to chowing down.
Nom nom nom, baby.
And Dan and Herbert come in, and Dr. Hill reveals his ultimate plan. The lobotomy that he has been perfecting with his laser drill has a side effect whenever the reanimating agent is administered to these dead bodies. He can control them with his mind. What?
Yeah.
In a movie riddled with what the f***, that's like, what the f***? They get up and they start attacking Herbert and Dan and Megan, and whenever they're about to escape, Herbert stays behind.
But he makes sure, don't forget my notes! My notes!
My notes!
My notes! And he
Yeah.
tosses his notes as he's being strangled by, was it the headless body? What was
Yeah,
it?
it was
Hills? Okay,
the
yeah, it was Hill's headless body. And he said, I have a theory!
Overdose! No!
And he overdose, and he gives an overdose of the reagent to the headless body, Dr. Hill's headless body, and Dr. Hill's headless body starts convulsing, going rowdy,
Like
and then it starts like mutating, and his insides explode, and out comes his small intestine, and it wraps around Herbert, you know, it's getting him, dude.
So even in death, even facing death, his most important thing in life
was his notes,
was his notes, his
was his work, you know.
So when they get to the elevator, the door doesn't close quick enough, and one of the reanimated catches up to them and starts strangling Megan. And before Dan can chop its arm off, Megan dies.
Megan was
dies.
strangled to death.
And so the very end of the movie is Dan bringing her into a hospital bed, laying her down, and Dan decides to re-administer the agent.
And the way it shows it at the end, the final edit, is it fades to black except for the reagent, and then you see the reagent like get squeezed in, and it's totally black, and then you hear, ah, you know, the scream. Like that was
One more time,
pretty.
could you do it?
It was a pretty cool ending, honestly. I mean, just overall.
Just do it one more time. I really enjoyed all of the acting. I didn't think there was a weak role in the film. My favorite was Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West. He was this wonderfully balanced, creepy, but also kind of charming.
He was creepy in all the weird shit that he would say, but he was also charming in the ability to get his point across and persuade people to let him do what he wants to do.
And that's another thing that I really enjoyed about the movie, is that I don't feel that any of the characters who were in the film are wasted. Everybody who's there gets a chance to kind of prove their worth. They're there for a reason, and everybody's kind of connected in a way.
One part that I was like, really? Okay, I get it's a movie, and you gotta have some leniency, but really? It was the part when the headless body gets himself into the morgue, and he's holding his head. It's Dr. Hill. Headless body, and the head is all Dr. Hill. So, headless body's going in there with a medical bag, and Dr. Hill's head is in the bag.
Oh.
Yeah, headless body puts the bag on the table and opens it up. Mind you, it is just a head. There's no lungs. There's no anything. It's just a head. He puts it on the table. He opens it up and he goes, that's better. And I'm like, what?
Maybe he was just claustrophobic.
Maybe.
That's the one thing.
If
If you're gonna have a severed head in your movie, and this guy watches it, better make sure that thing isn't breathing, dude.
Or, yeah, okay.
We're shoveling through the shit so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And by golly, we found something that we think that you'll really enjoy. And if you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of cult classics, if you're a fan of just nasty, gory movies, check out Re-Animator.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say I'm giving this one gold.
I mean, okay, so I mean, I really like this movie. I don't know if I'm 100% sold on it like Dylan is here. I don't know if I would give it a gold. It has a bunch of interesting parts in it. Some parts, I don't know, you know, but other parts, the gore in the movie is solid. Storyline is pretty solid. Comedy in it, even here and there, solid. But when you get to things like Dr. Hill breathing, it's so stupid. There's just some parts in this movie that I think are so stupid. I mean, I get it. I get it. This is a movie. You got to have some leniencies. But I mean, I can't get over the fact that some parts I find pretty stupid. So for my final rating, I'm going to have to give it a silver.
So we got a silver, we got a gold. I don't...
Sold! This is the part where I say golden line of the week goes to, and then we show you.
You'll never get credit for my discovery. Who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow.
Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching the video. We hope that you enjoyed our discussion about Re-Animator. And next week we're going to be talking about The Bride of Re-Animator.
It's the sequel.
It's the sequel.